Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of the Speakeasy Drink Better podcast. As always, I am one of your hosts, John, here with my lovely co-hosts, Alex and Edelweiss Precious. So, hey, we have a really special guest for you today. Our friend Alana from Angel's Envy is here. And we are doing something so cool. Alana, what are we doing today?
We are selecting a single barrel for Bottle Republic.
Yep. So just a little bit of background on that. If you guys are not industry professionals, but you are enthusiasts, what you do realize is that you can buy single barrel picks at stores, and that is exactly what we are doing here. So our good friends Drew and Kate Patel at Bottle Republic in Somerset, and in Randolph, and in Franklin Park. They got some great locations. You got to go by and check them out. But listen, we are picking a beautiful Angel's Envy selection right now for them. And if you mention the Speakeasy Drink Better podcast at checkout when you go over to any of their Bottle Republic locations, you will receive a 5% discount. So don't forget, mention the Speakeasy Drink Better podcast. We got a great show for you tonight. We're going to go through exactly how we pick a barrel, and we have three different options, of course, that came from Angel's Envy. We got some really cool stuff to talk about. We're going to talk a little bit about the history of Angel's Envy. We're going to talk about Lincoln Henderson. We're going to talk about a little of the history of why it started and what it means to the bourbon industry, and then we're going to get to taste through some stuff. So, without any further ado, Alana, I think I'm going to let you take over.
All right,
Rock and roll.
do it.
Let's go. So when we start to taste, okay, you have primary, secondary, and tertiary aromas, flavors, and nuances that are going to be coming in, of course, right? If anybody has seen the movie Neat, if you haven't seen it, you should go on Hulu and watch that because they teach you how to taste bourbon there. I am in no means a professional in any way, but Alana, what should we be looking for here?
Yes. Well, it's natural to pick up a lot of vanilla and toffee. Coming from the first aging in the new American white oak barrels. Our barrels are charred at a level 3, so that is 35 seconds on the flame.
Yeah.
So everything you guys are charring is at level 3?
Yes.
And think of it as each barrel, right? So there's a cooperage that every single producer uses. Every distiller uses a cooper in most cases. One or two have their own, but in most cases they're buying. Basically what happens is once the barrel's finished, once the staves are inserted, they basically take a flamethrower inside and they burn the inside of it.
Yes.
And just so you guys know, that's what actually gives you the color of the bourbon, right?
So roughly 50% of the color and the flavor actually comes from the barrel, which most people don't know. But that is why we're here today.
Absolutely.
Yeah, you're here to learn.
Right off the bat, I'll say that on the nose, like I'm getting almost like a chocolate caramel covered popcorn, which is awesome.
Yes, that is a great note.
I'm getting like a cola, like that cola.
Yeah, like a touch, right?
Yeah.
Yes. And now with the secondary finishing in the Ruby Port wine barrels, it is typical to get maybe some red fruit notes, whether they're baked or raw or dark bitter chocolate.
You said it.
Everything
Cherry.
comes
I'm
through.
getting
Yes.
I'm getting like a cherry cola. That's what I get.
And these tasting notes are subjective.
Yeah.
You can roll through with anything.
Oh,
Love yours.
Guys, listen, if you ever hear people on any other podcasts or, making content and telling you, oh, this is what's in here, it's like, no, it's completely subjective. All of our noses are different. All of our olfactory and gustatory nerves are completely different. Listen, we experience things.
There are no right or wrong answers.
There are no wrong answers.
Not at all. And do keep in mind that because your nose and your mouth are connected, you are going to pick up the same notes, whether you smell it or you taste it.
Absolutely.
They are first fill barrels. So this liquid is being pushed into a single barrel for the first time for so many months. And like you said, in the warehouse, which we call a rick house, there's different placement and position of the barrels. They are not moved. So depending on where it's situated, it could be very high up, and it could maybe gather more heat where the sun is beaming, whatever it is, and that will all play a role in the flavor or the
temperature
nuances.
definitely plays a role.
Totally.
In the
Totally.
Location.
Yeah, it's so cool.
Right,
It is. Environment, well, think about it as people, right? Environmental factors play a lot into how people develop. It's the same thing with whiskey. And you know, it's people that are developing while the whiskey is developing, and I think that that's something that's really special because you actually get the history of the master distiller and the producer as you taste through everything. And I think it's really cool that they tell a story here that's very interesting and very unique when it comes to Kentucky bourbon producers.
All right. So we want to go through all three and then discuss, or
I think we should do them one by one, and I think it's important to talk about this because they're all going to be different.
Yep.
Yes.
So we got Alex. You said cola. I love that. You said cherry too. That comes through for me, but very, very present is like a chocolate caramel buttered popcorn. And that can sometimes happen. It's Saccharomyces cerevisiae, the yeast that's used to ferment the wort, the mash, right? That can sometimes kick off some of those things. It can be pulled in from the barrel as well. You know, hey, at the end of the day, right? That might just be what I'm getting now, right?
Get a very long finish. I'm getting a very long.
Yeah, it's still going.
I got the chocolate at the end, so that's the finish I'm getting. In the middle and the palate, I got coffee.
I like that. I was very round palate. I feel like the port finish really helps to round it out because that fruit kind of helps to almost ease the edges of the astringency that you get sometimes in a spirit like this.
I'm getting kind of almost some kind of green freshness at the end. There's an off note, not an off note, sorry. Different note that I'm picking up at the end. It's very different, it's very
Maybe
long.
like a forest floor.
Yeah, kind of like that.
It's really
that would be. Yep.
That's right, like almost mushroomy.
Yeah.
That's really cool. And like it's almost like when you take that first sip, if you're breathing in, because sometimes what I'll do is I'll take a breath before I taste, but in that taste I was breathing in. I got a little bit of eucalyptus too, which is kind of interesting, a little bit medicinal.
Eucalyptus, maybe some mint.
Yeah.
That's where I'm going. Like at the end, you get like some kind of freshness.
I think another great point while you're tasting whiskey is actually closing your eyes and parting your lips just a little bit, so you're shutting off all your senses. And then you'll really be able to detect certain flavor profile or notes while doing that.
You know what else I found too? It's like when someone says something, it's also very, like it plays a...
Yes.
If someone says like, oh, it tastes like you said...
Yeah, cocoa, whatever the case, chocolate,
and then you
coffee.
go back and you're like, oh yeah. And
No, I
maybe
get
like
it.
I didn't get it the first time, but because you hear that, it automatically like plays a role in like the way you...
Yeah, it's like almost like it's like I planted a
So
mind
maybe
word
we should
there.
do a silent like...
Well, the thing is sometimes
Write it and then discuss.
You know what?
it.
Actually, that's a good idea. Why don't we do that for the next one?
The next one, yeah. Let's write our notes and then like come back
I
and see
did. I
how.
wrote my
All right, we can play
Yeah.
around with this. Yeah.
Should we do a chocolate pairing with it? Maybe because you brought chocolate as well.
Yeah.
Right?
Do you want to do
We
that?
can do
Yeah.
that.
Between tastings, I think we should like
Yeah.
do some chocolate maybe to like.
Pause for dramatic effect. No, so what we have here, can you tell us actually? Can you tell us a little bit about what we've got in here?
Yes. So these are chocolate pairing kits that are available online and at our distillery store. Highlights said four different chocolates with only one that is infused. But essentially, play around with it, have fun, go through the core of Angel's Envy, our finished bourbon, our finished rye, into the single barrel, and you'll be able to find a match.
Triple oak too.
And
Triple oak's
Oh my god, it's
That stuff's great.
amazing.
That stuff's
Oh,
on
we
fire. Everybody's so over that stuff. It's
Do you want to
so
crack those
good.
open?
Oh, okay.
Yeah, crack it open and crack open the next bottle.
So, you know, for any accounts, for any liquor stores, for anybody in New Jersey who owns a license that may be interested in doing an Angel's Envy barrel, I mean, you can always contact your rep at Fedway. It also Allied. And if you guys have no idea what I'm talking about, then you probably don't own a liquor license.
Or just call us.
Oh yeah, just call us. You know what? Hey, listen, here's an even better idea. You know what? If you guys like this, if you enjoy what we're doing here with Alana, she's just one of many professionals that we have the ability to bring in here, give their expertise, and also have us, you know, try some really, really great whiskey and pick out barrels. If this is something you dig, let us know in the comments. Tell us what you like. Tell us about your Angel's Envy story. Let us know what's going on, okay? Because, hey, we got a lot of stories, but we want to hear yours too. So this is beautiful. I mean, and not hard to open up either, which is really nice.
Oh my
That's
god,
good.
that's
That's
beautiful.
plenty here.
Look, it's a horseshoe.
That should be good.
That's so cute.
Okay, I got you. No worries.
Love it.
All right. So we are about ready to go on to our second barrel. So now, just so you guys know, the liquid that's coming out of the barrels, just so you're wondering how many bottles are actually available, I think that's an important question to ask because, you know, what happens we pick one out and you don't necessarily get this one. I mean, Well, first of all, you got to be quick, but second of all, you know, you want to know how much is actually available from a single barrel. How much actually comes out of the barrel?
Yeah, so roughly 42
Cases? So six-pack bottles.
Yeah, 6-pack bottles. That's like the sweet spot. But it does depend on the Angel's share, and that's 5% of the liquid that is taken. Do you want to elaborate?
Oh, I would love to.
Okay.
So,
Yeah, let's talk about Angel Share. What is that?
It's so cool. And
we know what that is, but let's tell her.
Yeah, depending on what
Sure,
part of the
sure,
world
sure.
you're in.
Thank you, Alon.
Yes.
Yeah, depending on
Some
what
are
part of
more,
the
some
world
are
you're in.
less.
Yeah, exactly. It depends on the barometric pressure, right? So it depends on the climate, actually. And the barometric pressure is what forces Angel Share. So essentially what's happening is alcohol evaporates at a lower temperature than water, of course. You're pushing and pulling spirit in and out of the barrel. So what you're doing is you're actually losing alcohol to evaporation over the life of the barrel inside the rick house. So in the case of Angel's Envy, you're looking at about a 5% Angel Share. But the whole reason that Angel's Envy, the name came about, it's actually kind of cool. Why?
Why?
Yeah.
Our late master distiller Lincoln Henderson joked about the angels stealing his share or envious of his share, hence Angel's Envy.
That's beautiful. And I love that because that's just something that's going to happen no matter what, is a natural thing of physics and chemistry.
Yeah.
And, you know, if anybody out there drinks Trelawney rum from Jamaica, you'll know that that stuff is really intense and serious. And if you're a bourbon drinker, you should definitely try out Trelawney rum. But that can be as much as 40% Angel Share because they're in the tropics, right? So let's go through the rules real quick. Before we start about this, if you guys don't understand the rules of what makes a bourbon, in this case, this is Kentucky straight bourbon whiskey. So what makes a Kentucky straight bourbon whiskey? It's made in Kentucky, number one. You see that name Kentucky in front of it? It's made in Kentucky. It has to be, right? But bourbon can only be made in the United States. Here's why. You have to, minimum. If it's bourbon, 51% corn in your mash bill. Now, as Alana had said, the mash bill is the grain recipe. So the different grains that are available for American whiskey production are corn, malted barley, rye, and wheat. These are all perennial grains, but the most important thing here is that we get 51% corn to make bourbon, right? 51% rye is rye, and 50% of something else, like a wheat. It could be a wheat whiskey, it could be a single malt, right? We do that in America as well, but I think that the most ubiquitous thing is bourbon whiskey, so I think that that's the most important thing to talk about.
Yep.
Minimum
Great.
40% alcohol that you're going to do when you bottle this, okay? It has to spend a minimum of 2 years in American white oak, and now what I mean by that is it needs to be coming from America,
Yep.
and that is probably our I don't even know if it's our chief wood that we produce in the United States. I think I mean, it's kind of expensive to cooper a barrel, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
And it takes a long time too, because you have to cure that wood as well.
And you only get, 7, 8, 9 barrels per tree.
Per tree, exactly. And you can only pass through them once,
Okay.
right? Single pass. Virgin American white oak barrels for a minimum of 2
And then we
years.
sell those
Yes.
off to
Exactly.
somebody else to use that for something else.
Yeah,
Wine,
exactly.
Other scotch, you name it. They're using it.
So
It doesn't die the barrel. It's going to be used for something
Oh,
else.
yeah.
Yes, but for bourbon
Multiple
production,
times.
it must
For
be
bourbon, it's
virgin
a
white
single,
oak.
Right.
single use.
Yeah.
So to summarize, A, B, C.
Yes.
A has to be made in America, meaning the U.S. A.
Yep.
B, single use American charred white oak barrel that can only be used once. And C, at least 51% corn.
Those are the three basics.
That's
If you
correct.
remember that, then you have other things like it can have additives. So it can have
correct.
any flavorings.
Cannot.
Nothing can be added to it to give it a different flavor. But that's,
Yeah.
as long as you remember those three things, the ABCs.
You got it?
Yes, well
So
said.
all bourbons are whiskeys, but not all whiskeys are bourbon.
Oh, this is so interesting.
That's
So I'm getting like an apple pie nose on this one. This is crazy with a touch of caramel. Getting some really nice herbal notes of this as well. A little bit more cherry, a little bit older. It just feels a little bit older. Okay, so here, what we were talking about, literally every single barrel being completely different, is completely different. It's like black tea. This is really
Yeah.
interesting.
A little bit more, a little deeper flavors. Like
A little more depth.
Oh, for sure. You get more of like a little burn.
Yep.
but a good one.
Yeah. All right.
Very, very.
Wow, that's so crazy. So much more tea forward.
Yep. That's a good one. Tea forward.
I like
That
that.
black
I
tea.
like that. Like the tannin that comes off the barrel. It's really cool.
How do you think it would stand up with a little bit of water or ice?
So that's really interesting. So when
We
you're
have to talk
tasting
about that.
when you're tasting bourbon, typically a 30% dilution is what's recommended, right? And that's going to be distilled water. Okay, there's going to be no TDS, no anything inside of it, right? It's not going to adulterate the taste of the bourbon at all, but it's going to cut it so that you can kind of perceive flavor a little bit deeper. I think, in my opinion, in my experience, adding the touch of distilled water to bourbon can really help to open it up and lift it up because alcohol is astringent.
Yep.
So when you breathe in alcohol, it's volatile, and when it hits your nose, it can start to distort your senses, right? So if you don't dilute it, you're getting the full blast, and you may not pick out some of the nuances now after a while of tasting bourbon. You're going to notice, you're going to start to pick up regardless of what the proof is, right? But at the end of the day, around a 30% dilution, that is something that is, if you ever hear the Scotchman talk about it, that's what he recommends. But for me, I'm straight up. Thank you very much.
I like it straight up, but there are certain bourbons that will taste, or even some of the rye whiskeys and stuff. Once you add in a little bit of water,
Drops of water,
actually you pick up a little bit more of that forward burn.
Absolutely.
It's complete opposite. You
Which
think,
is
it's
crazy. You would think it would
The
make
very
opposite.
it.
true.
Complete
Yeah.
opposite. And,
Yeah.
and the profile is still spectacular, but it's a different flavor profile when you went with full proof. He's like, okay, but once you went that way, you're like, okay, you're expecting one thing and it's going a different way.
Yeah.
So it's happened to us quite a bit.
But know this, ladies and gentlemen, there is no wrong way to drink bourbon. And that's another important thing to have by your bar too. If you do have a big bourbon collection, it is cool to have a little touch of distilled water on the side. That way, if anybody wants to dilute, you're giving them the proper etiquette. And what's stop on the Kentucky Bourbon Trail, is it?
Ooh, I think you know that answer.
Do you guys know?
I'm sorry.
The stop on the Kentucky Bourbon Trail.
It's actually part of the urban bourbon trail.
Ooh.
Because it's actually right in, like Alana was saying, Whiskey Row in proper Louisville.
Yeah, it's on the one end. I mean,
It's on the end of Whiskey Row in Louisville. So there's two. There's the, world
think-
famous Kentucky Bourbon Trail, and then there's an urban bourbon trail
Right.
in
what's
Louisville. Open later because we actually
Bloopers.
did the last tour on a Saturday night. We did a 6:45,
Yeah.
which was nice. We did the tour, which had the tasting at the end, and then we walked straight to the bar, which I'm blanking out. What was the name? The finishing room?
That sounds
You
awesome.
say so if it must be. Add a name. I don't know. We walked out there. We had a couple
And
cocktails.
you don't want to miss that for sure. If you're gonna take the tour, do the tasting, you want to
Yeah, so the
and
bar at the
with-
Angels came recommended from
Very
some of the
nice.
folks in the industry. Said,
Yeah.
if you're going to go do the tour, go stop at the bar.
Make sure you
Some
hit
of the
the
distillers
bar.
are very well. They've got some very good.
very good
bar
cocktail
content.
program.
Yeah, so the programs are pretty good, pretty solid, and a lot of cool stuff. Like I mentioned, that port syrup that we bought, which
Yes.
very particular because we used to make a Port Manhattan. So there's a kind of riff on it using that. So instead of using straight port, so there's a lot of areas to try. There's always something new, and if somebody was willing to take a bottle of port and boil it down and put it in a small bottle for you, so hey, take it and use it, and that's what we've been doing. So.
Oh, we should. Oh, are we doing a cocktail afterwards? Because we have our.
We're
we
absolutely
should
doing
do
a
that.
we have
cocktail
a bar.
afterwards,
We have
ladies and gentlemen.
our apron.
Oh, I even have an Angels
we have
Envy
the Angels Envy.
Yes,
I mean,
we
we
do.
have Angels Envy cherries too, so I feel
We
like
have
got
the
the
boozy
cherry.
cherries. We got the port syrup, and we got our
We're gonna do
bartenders.
Angels Envy.
Yes.
We do Angels
Well, you have
Envy.
a
Envy.
Port
fantastic
Manhattan.
brand.
I like that.
A Port Manhattan Angels Envy.
All right. Well, I hope you all enjoy
Guys,
that.
wait for that. That's going to be next. That'll be on the short reels, maybe.
Maybe.
We're going to do a whole Angels Envy cocktail.
Yeah, because we still have a third one to try here. So.
Yeah.
Hey, real quick, guys, I'm going to keep us on track here, but Barrel 850, 110 proof, same exact proof, completely different tasting notes, ladies and gentlemen. Would you like me to go first?
Go ahead.
Sure.
So what I got on the nose, black tea, mint, we got a little bit of clay, a little bit of earth. That's something that really kind of stuck with me.
Wow.
What do you guys
I
get?
had the tea. I got a little cinnamon on. That's more on the flavor. Definitely got the tea. I got a lot of very deep flavors.
Okay.
Kind of that depth when you say something's been cooking for hours.
Yeah, it's
That
meaty
depth.
almost, yeah.
It's very It's got a lot of.
Almost like,
Great, a lot of
A
depth.
lot of body.
Yeah, a lot of
to it.
body.
Yeah.
say like,
That's what I got. A lot of that. It's very
Yeah, me too.
earthy. A lot of that good flavor.
get some ginger in that too. That's kind of
Caramel.
cool.
Caramel. on the nose.
absolutely.
You know what I got? I got them empty glass.
Yeah. Oh.
That's what I got right now.
Well, hey, let's talk about the finish real quick. So, you know, I think something that really popped out to me was cinnamon. I think cinnamon was like.
Hey, bing, that's my number 2. Cinnamon.
Let's go.
A ton of cinnamon. Hey, see, great minds think alike.
Yeah.
Yes, it is.
I got apple.
Uh-oh.
You did?
We like apple too.
Apple
Whatever.
maybe
Apple
apple.
cinnamon.
I got
Yeah,
candy
we
apple.
apple pie. What it is.
Apple pies,
Apple pie.
apple
Apple
turnover.
pie,
I got
or like
candy.
a
Candy
caramel
apple.
apple, or like
Okay,
a
candied
candied
apple.
apple,
All
which
right.
has the drizzled in caramel.
Yeah, we're on it.
Eat some.
Is it nutty at all?
Candied
Are you
apple.
thinking
Yeah,
of
I
any,
had
like,
more nutty on the
almond?
first one, not as much on this
Okay.
one, but
Yeah.
definitely it's
It had
good.
a little more heat on the
Yeah,
palate too.
for sure, definitely more
Okay.
heat.
Which is interesting because the proof is exactly the same.
There
The
we
way
go.
it
Yeah.
presents is completely different.
Yeah,
So, hey.
the proof has something to do with the spice.
Oh,
Yeah,
For sure.
fascinating.
No
People think
barrel
all the
is
time.
the same.
People think,
No barrel is the same.
higher alcohol content, more burn. No,
No.
that has nothing to do with it. It's just
Not always.
they're all individual barrels. Who knows what happened in that barrel as it aged and what happened and the blend came together and it's in this bottle. So
Yeah.
it can taste very different.
So, hey, ladies and gentlemen, we're rounding out to barrel 3. Let's do it. Howard.
Yes, let's
All right, let's go. All right,
right.
so I'm really looking forward to what this flavor profile is. I mean, to be completely honest with you, the first 2 are completely different. And you know what? Again, that's what's exciting about whiskey, right? And honestly, that's what's exciting about most all spirits because everybody's going to make it a little bit different. Sláinte.
Thank God to the
Oh,
go.
this is already my glass. Thank you so much.
Yes.
This is completely different.
Oh wow.
877.
8-7.
Oh man!
Sound
All right,
like
so
a
I'm
lucky
getting more.
number right
I'm
now.
getting more smoke in this one. I'm getting a little bit more of that, like kind of like Charmant smoke in
I'm
that.
getting very soft, sweet notes. It's a very soft, clean smell that I'm picking up.
Oh man! I'm
Yeah,
getting
I'm not
some-
getting the harsh, the hit of the
There's no wrong answers.
Yeah.
There's no wrong
Just
answers.
your work question.
Yeah, you know, it's okay. I've been doing this for a while, and to be honest, I don't
yeah.
even know what the hell's
You're
happening
tainted.
anymore. Oh man, I like that. This is very meaty. This is very meaty to me. I almost get like
Barbecue.
Yeah, like a little bit like a touch of like smoked pork or bacon or something like that. That'd be cool. And that can
That's the
happen.
first thing I thought. I'm like, this smells like barbecue.
Bacon. Nice. Sounds good.
Yeah.
Smokehouse.
A little hickory.
But yes.
A little bit of hickory smoke in it. I get a little bit of tobacco too. That's something in here that's coming through. Like just a touch like fresh cut tobacco. If we were like pull out an American Spirit and smell it. Just a touch.
Salami. No, that's Italian.
No,
You
now
can't go there.
it's so funny how the
Yeah.
palate is so different because it's very herbal
At the end.
on the palate.
A lot of them were getting the herbals on all 3.
I didn't get it on the first 2 for
There's
some
an
reason.
herbal.
You know
taste
what?
to all of them.
This one does.
This one's coming through super fruity for me. Oh, God. I really, really like this. Wow, you're saving the best for last on me. What's with that? I'm gonna need a touch more. Sorry, Drew.
No,
This
it's
one.
this.
Oh, that one?
Yes.
Oh, look at me.
Yes, and we can certainly repour, retaste.
That beautiful bottle.
It's perfect in your jacket. No, no.
Yeah, no, the trick is you make an Angel's Envy golf pole that has enough room to fit a 200 ml flask in, right in there. Oh, yeah. Sometimes there's a little bit of silence.
Trying to sing.
Process.
Yeah, there's something there. I'm just, see, we're all speechless. This is, we are onto something here. Everybody's liking something here.
I'm getting a little capsaicin here, a little black pepper. Definitely fruity, I like that. I don't know, I'm going with Edelweiss. I think this has got a really, really herbal palate.
I did sing. On the palate, it was definitely like spices, not spicy, but spices.
I got like a touch of
Or
nutmeg
like
there, but
herbal.
like it's almost as though
Yep, I get it.
it's cooling. It's very interesting, actually.
But
Even
the
at the start, I'm getting a
finish-
little like a little cantaloupe or something that I'm picking up, like kind of.
That's cool, like a little bit of melon. Yeah, that could do.
John also said fruity.
Maybe some like
That's
stone
interesting.
fruit.
Yeah, there's apple, peach, a little bit.
But see, now my finish was like sweet, more on the sweeter side. The way it like finishes on the.
You know, this for me is really boozy and almost like, you know, I called eucalyptus on the first one. I'm getting that on this one, but it's almost, it's giving me this kind of like analgesic effect. Like it's almost like kind of numbing the back of my palate, which is kind of interesting. very, very fresh, very intense on the back of the palate. The finish is very long. Ladies and gentlemen, hey, look, listen, when you do grab one of these bottles, you're going to see a beautiful label that our Speak Easy Drink Better podcast has put on the bottle. So at the end of the day, this is a collectible item, okay? If you're our fans, go out, get 5% off when you mention Speak Easy Drink Better at Bottle Republic, any of their 3 locations. Tell Kate and Drew we sent you. And as always, drink responsibly. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we've come to the cocktail portion of Speak Easy Drink Better. Alex, we got something really nice planned. Let's tell them about it, shall we?
Yeah, so you know what? Since we got our great friends from Angel Envy's here tonight, you know, let's do a riff on a kind of a Manhattan that we've had a good idea on. You know, over the years, we've made a kind of riff on what we've called a Port Manhattan. And in our recent trip down to Angel's Envy, man, we picked up some really cool products. You know, this port syrup, spectacular stuff. I mean, we tasted at the bar, couldn't get enough of it. They've got some really cool cherries, so they got some great products out there. Boozy cherries. And so we said, you know what? Let's make our riff on kind of like our Port Manhattan using this port syrup today. You know, port syrup is great. If you don't have the port syrup, a great port wine works perfectly. So, hey, if it's not right on there, we're using a Kochi today. If you don't have a regular Kochi, just use some other kind of vermouth, something that you might be having. Something really good. It's a nice vermouth. It's harder to get, but if you can't find it, there's plenty of stuff out there. Listen, it's not the set recipe, so when we're making today, don't get stuck trying to find everything. Try it yourself, put it together. If it doesn't work, try it again. You know, it's like anything else. Try a couple times till you get it right.
So the ingredients are going to be, we're using our Angel's Envy bourbon today.
Angel's Envy.
So traditionally, I think it's really important we tell everybody that traditionally a Manhattan is made with rye.
3 ingredients.
It's just 3 ingredients. It's really super simple, and those ingredients are simply some kind of American whiskey. In this case, we're using bourbon. However, rye is the traditional, of course. Yes. The Manhattan Club in the late 19th century into the late 19th century into the early 20th century. This is the cocktail that was known for. This was the high society cocktail of New York City. It was originally made with 2 ounces of rye, 1 ounce of sweet vermouth, and a shot of bitters, and then it was served with a maraschino cherry, cocktail cherry of some type, exactly. So now we're doing a little bit of a riff on that. So we had mentioned before the Angel's Envy mash bill, 72% corn, and how much rye? 18%? That's correct, okay. So not a high rye, however, that's okay because what we're doing is our own riff, and that's fine for you to do that at home because there are no wrong answers, okay? American whiskey, some kind of sweet vermouth, a beautiful bit of bitters, and a boozy cherry. So we're doing a stir here. So classically, this is a stirred cocktail, not a shaken cocktail. If you are into clarified cocktails, of course, you can add a little bit of egg white to this. You can shake it over ice, but I do recommend, and this is very important, that you dry shake. If you're going to use an egg white wash, you are going to have to dry shake before you add ice. Okay. This is the classic preparation.
Nowadays, with the price of eggs, be careful. Yeah. You know? It's an expensive cocktail. There's a couple good replacements out there. We've got here a couple here.
Yeah, we got
a couple of
Speed Brothers,
Speed Brothers, a couple things out there.
We'll talk about them later.
But you know,
but Alex is exactly right because, like, you know, eggs are just
beautiful. A little more. It's delicious. A little more sweet. You know, so. Some folks sometimes, you know, it takes a little while for folks to get into Manhattan, but...
Do you want to talk about what bitters you use there?
So I use these Jerry Thomas. Very good bitters. You know, there's a lot of great products out there. There are plenty of them out there.
What is a Jerry Thomas? It's a... What type of bitter? Is it aromatic?
This is an Angostura type.
Angostura aromatic bitter.
Very
exactly.
Good. Very, very good.
So bitters are essentially...
Angostura would be the brand.
Yeah, exactly.
Aromatic is the type of bitter.
Exactly.
So it doesn't necessarily have to be Angostura, although we highly recommend that you go with Angostura.
You may see Hella Bitters, which is an aromatic bitter, of course. There are plenty of other bitters that are made locally. Of course, you can find those.
And these are actually Jerry Thomas... it's called a Bitter Truth bitters. So Jerry Thomas is actually the father of mixology.
There you go.
So we know that.
Rock and roll. I didn't know that.
Yeah, he is.
Well, see, now you gotta start.
So here you go. So
amazing.
Very simple. Serve up. Little, you know, good. The boozy cherries as a garnish. Hey, serve it up and enjoy. So we'll pass these on. Give us a little taste here. See what you guys think.
For the ladies, all right.
That's right.
We're gonna give these.
So there you go, ladies. It's kind of the riff on
So,
the old fashioned,
cheers.
oh sorry, the Manhattan.
You did so great.
Nice Manhattan kind of twist on it. You might want to drop those cherries in so they don't splash in your face, but have a little flavor.
Yeah. What do we think?
Ooh, very delicious.
Very
You
good.
like that?
Well
This is
done.
so well balanced.
Mm-hmm.
Such a good cocktail.
Yeah, I mean, I
I
think
love my Manhattan served up, but again, Manhattan's not necessarily, they're not always served up. Sometimes you can have it on the rocks.
You
But
can have
my
it-
personal preference, up, and this is
And chill.
delicious. And
It's gotta be
the
stirred.
port, right, Alana? Do you agree? The port
Yes.
syrup just gives it, it's a more mellow like, flavor on a Manhattan. It's not as like vermouth forward. It just
Right.
Completely
kinda,
agree.
like, makes the finish on the palate a little more smooth and
Yes.
a little bit on the sweeter.
A little bit on the sweeter. You know, when you use the
Slightly.
Kochi- yeah, that's why the Kochi worked well. Some of the
Yeah.
other ones get a little bit more depth and a little more sweetness than some of those. Kochi, I think, is not as so forward, so I think it gives a little
Not
bit
as bitter, yeah.
not as bit. So it gives a good.
Remember, well, drink responsibly, but you don't need to go to a bar to mix a great cocktail at home. At the end of the day, these ingredients that we have, these stories that we tell, these are for you. At the end of the day, we want you to have a great experience. Just like we have a great experience every time we do this, right?
You got it.
Hey, Alana, thank you so much for coming in.
You're
It's a beautiful
welcome.
cocktail,
Thank you,
Alex. Great
Alana.
job. We
This was
can't.
an amazing experience, so we really appreciate it.
You
we
got
can't-
it. Thank
we
you.
cannot wait to share our single barrel pick with you from Bottle Republic. Remember, you mentioned Speakeasy Drink Better at Bottle Republic. Get 5% off per bottle at their Franklin Park, their Somerset, or the Randolph location. At the end of the day, remember, this is for you, but right now, it's for us.
Cheers,
Speakeasy,
guys.
Drink better, but always drink responsibly. Cheers.
Cheers, guys. Cheers.
Cheers.
Beautiful.